How long you been out of prison now, man?
Been out of prison 10 years now, man.
Wow, 10 years.
10
Right.
years.
And how does it feel? Like, do you still, because like when I interviewed Connor was like, he recently, even after 30 years, he woke up like feeling like he was still in prison. Like he heard like the sound of the jails, you know, closing and shit like that. Like, do you ever have any of these moments where you like relive like something?
Every single day.
Can you talk
Every
about it? Like,
single
what
day.
is it that you relive?
It's just such a profound experience that you go through. You know, there's some trauma attached to it. You know what I mean? Like the other day, we got a program at Now for United that's called the Power of Movement. And it's going to like different hoods and working out with the youth there, having them sign up for a nice little workout session with some personal trainers that we got coming on board. And there were certain things we were saying as we were working out that reflected, you know, some behaviors from prison. Like, yo, we all count saying stuff like that. Like, yo, yard monsters. You know what I mean? Like saying shit like that. You know what I mean? Doing burpees, reminding you of, you know, prison yards when you get busy with the guys and you do your workouts with the guys. So it's like every single day something reminds me of that profound experience that happened to me personally, you know what I mean, while I was incarcerated.
But something like that you're talking about right now, it's not something that triggers you to like be violent or be upset, right? Like to have like a strong emotional response.
That's a good question because I guess the way I respond varies.
Mm-hmm.
The way I respond varies. Like there's some, you know, things that can happen that remind me of prison that have me like, damn, I really went through that shit. You know what I mean? And then there's some things that happen that have me like, damn, thank God I don't have to go back to that shit. Or I would never go back to that, you know?
I guess what I'm asking you is like, do you ever have like a strong trigger where it's like you have to practice some of those coping skills of like reassuring yourself that you're not there anymore, that you're okay now, you're safe, and things like that?
Um, Interestingly enough, like I said in the first interview, since I was young, I suffered from power orientation. You know what I mean? That's a criminal thinking error that that it causes you to respond with aggression to most challenging situations.
Mm.
And I'm a work in progress. That's something I deal with on a daily basis. So anything could trigger me, anything. You know what I mean? But since I'm hyper aware of what I'm capable of doing, and I always have my kids in mind and my situation in my mind and my lady, you know what I mean? There's things that I will not sacrifice because of a moment that makes me feel triggered. You know what I mean? There's just things that I would not throw down the toilet, like my freedom, you know, my kids, my lady, my job. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna throw that down. I'm not gonna flush that down the toilet just because I have a moment that makes me feel like I want to crack somebody's head open. You know what I mean? Like I'm hyper aware of the dangers of not only what can happen to me in the street, but what I can do to someone else.
Right. So do you have like breathing techniques or like meditation that you practice to kind of like recenter yourself?
I just mostly um what I always go to is like positive self-talk.
Mm.
Like you don't need to do it, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. It's just not. If I'm not directly confronted, it's just not worth it.
Do you feel like a sense of strong pressure because like you know you're in these neighborhoods talking to these kids trying to set that good example. Now if you turn around and do something that you're trying to deter them away from, like, you know, beating up this guy because he was talking reckless or something like that, do you feel like that strong pressure that you have to keep up that image of like that you're trying to, you know, inspire them to be?
It's just like my brother Jonathan Alvarez says, you can't serve two masters, man. You can't serve two masters. You either gotta have You can't have one foot here and one foot there. You either you gotta embody what you're preaching to these kids. You gotta embody positivity. You have to embody change in your life and growth in your life. If not, you're gonna keep falling back into those algorithms where you're plucking a nigga out every. I live in New York. You know how many niggas I want to beat up on a daily basis? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
but I carry myself with respect and I project respect. So I get that in return. Like when people are around me, they know they're around somebody that respects himself. Therefore, they show me respect. And I love that for me.
Right. How many kids you got now?
I got 4 kids, three boys and my daughter that I raised. She's 5 years old.
Wow. Okay. So, what are the ages?
My oldest is 22. My second son is 17. My daughter's 15. And my youngest son is 9 years old.
9 years old. Okay. So when you look at them, right, and you look at the ages, and you're like, wow, like when I was so and so age, I was already going through this. Like I'm assuming they've never experienced any of the things of the hardships that you experienced growing up, as far as being in the street, right?
Not at all. Not at all. Their life was like, my life versus theirs is like night and day. And it's not to say that my mother raised us. You know what I mean? That she did a phenomenal job raising us. It's just that she raised us alone with like minimal support. But we always had my grandmother's trip to go to. We always had my cousin's trip to go to. My mother saw to it that we were very family orientated, and she did her absolute best by us. And that alone, for somebody, like I said in my last interview, that had no real formal education, you know, that was living on the edge of the poverty line. You know, we from the PJs, we from the projects. You know what I'm saying? So that's a real accomplishment for somebody with barely nothing. You know what I mean? So
When you see like your kids and their innocence, and like you see them enjoying things that you didn't get to enjoy when you were younger, does it give you some sense of, I don't know, like relief or like healing for your inner child, like, that didn't get to experience some of those things?
oh yeah, absolutely. I remind them about it every time. I'm like, you motherfuckers get everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, you motherfuckers get everything. I never wore a $250 pair of Jordans when I was a kid.
Yo,
And
these kids is
that's
living
just one
good,
thing.
bro.
Man, listen, look, if they do right in school, they doing what they have to do, I'll do right by them.
That's dope, man. So, with you being from the streets and what comes with that, has it been like one of your top priorities to ensure that your kids don't follow any of those footsteps or anything like that, like when they get to a certain age? Because, like I feel like once you get into that teenage age, like everybody kind of want to be a little bad and kind of, you know what I mean? Do their thing a little bit.
I've been lucky, man, to say that my kids have not went down that path, though. My only child that I can say that he lived on the edge of that lifestyle was my oldest son, because he was born and raised in Spanish Harlem. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? So he's in his neighborhood is very active, very up. You know what I mean? Thankfully that he never got down with no gangs and nothing like that. He was never enticed by that. He still got his own little crew of kids that he came up with, that he's still very close to. But, I could see a lot of my personality traits when I was 12, 13, 14 years old, 15 years old, and him. Like if somebody try him, challenge him, it's up. You know what I mean? Like I see all of that fire that I had when I was young, right in him, passed right to him.
Do you feel like because you have those experience, right, that like you would feel like you failed as a parent if your child were to follow in those footsteps? Or do you think that once they get to a certain age, it's like you can't help it anymore? Like they're gonna do what they're gonna do.
Nah, you can only guide and mold them
Hmm.
how you wish for them to turn out, right? You can only hope for a certain desired outcome. But if that outcome doesn't play out the way you have in your mind, you can't knock them for that. Because essentially, once they come off the porch and they start navigating the real world, it's essentially up to them who they become, right? The ball is in their court now. That's it. The training wheels is off.
I guess a good example of this, right, is because like over the past year, Remy Ma, she's been received a lot of flack because of her son being arrested for murder. And people were saying, like, you know, you failed him as a parent because you're rich, you're famous, you have all these resources that people in the hood don't necessarily have. And your child fell into the same situation. Do you think that that's warranted, or you think that that's like kind of, you know what, that's not up to her because he grew to an age where he's supposed to be responsible for himself?
Like I said, as a parent, you can't control what your children do once they reach up age.
Mm-hmm.
Once they reach 17, 18, 19, you can only guide them in the right direction. And you never know. Violence is an ever prevalent thing in our world. You never know when it's going to happen. No matter how out of the way you are, there's straight bullets that hit innocent people and kill them. A person that was never exposed to violence in their life in a split second is killed by a gunshot or by random violence in the street. You know, violence is an ever prevalent thing. You can't predict it. You know what I mean? So for anyone to be blaming Remy, they don't know what that woman did for her child growing up, even while incarcerated or after she came home from incarceration. She could have been in her son's life the whole way through. But it's what he does, not what she does. It's his actions that define his future, not his mother.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people they want to look at like one situation of because she wasn't there like physically when she was incarcerated, but there's always so many layers to it, right? There's so much more that goes on behind the scenes that we aren't privy to as far as the information.
Absolutely. She could have came home from prison and be the best mother she could be to him the way she knows. Because when you think about it, Remy got locked up when she was just a baby.
Yeah, I think she was like 20 something, right? Like early 20s or something like that.
She was still young.
Yeah.
She didn't have the rule book of how to be a mother or how to, you know, mother correctly or how to do this and how to do that. She probably did what she knew best. She knew best how to do. If we even know, she probably wasn't in his life at all. That nigga was probably somewhere in grandma's house or her father. Like, none of us know the details behind that to be, you know, nailing her to a cross.
What do you think about the victim's daughter and the situation that ensued between them two on the footsteps of the courthouse? Do you think that that's something that gets overly sensationalized and like we don't really know what happened and we see these flashes?
I don't know the details about that. I don't know what you're talking about, honestly.
Oh, well, they saw each other at one of the hearings, and Remy like was gonna fight her. She was like going down the steps and shit, like, and was gonna fight her.
The victim's mother?
The victim's daughter.
Oh, the victim's daughter?
Yeah.
I mean, look, if you challenged anywhere in the world, somebody challenges you, you don't give a fuck what happened in their lives. You challenging me, I'm gonna protect myself. I don't care who you just lost in your life. It's that simple.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, bro.